people, I tell you.
Black people.
We are AFROTAKU, and we coming at you with manga and the anime. You know you can't stay away. Man. Talking Goku, Sango, and Moroku. Parappa cause I'm rapping, didn't know he had a show too. Yeah, AFROTAKU. Relax and take a ride with the guys at BFP. I like courtesy of the Bobby Fiasco. Lights, camera, action. I'm done, so let's go. AFROTAKU.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Boys and girls.
I have something to tell you.
What is it, Justin?
Usually, I'm the one not prepared this time. I'm not pointing any fingers, but when the camera pans a certain direction, you'll see. Not yet. He's looking. He's watching. I'm ready. This is AFROTAKU. And he might be ready this time. Pan the camera while he's not paying attention.
Dang. We have our special new guest here, Janessa.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah. Nelson. Enough of that. What were you saying?
Damn. So, we have our new special guest. We hope she feels very welcome here in the panel of AFROTAKU.
Are you welcome? I feel welcome.
AFROTAKU.
What?
Hey.
Today's topic, top 5 anime.
Bum.
For me, that's very hard to do. Out of probably the 50 to 100 animes I've watched, it's really hard to narrow it down to the best 5. I mean, it's at least a good 20 that belongs in the top 5 on my list. So I had to really think about it. I had to really, measure it down, compress it, think about, the overall show between, just the character development from the actual topic, the type of the anime, to the theme songs, the out songs, the closing songs, all that stuff. Like, it has to be pretty much dang perfect for me to put in my top 5. Because
that is crazy.
It's that hard.
That is.
Wow,
it's that hard, man. I'm telling you.
That is some type of criteria, my friend.
So, I'm gonna start from the top. Make things a little bit smoother, transition. Of course, number 1 for me, anime of all time, One Piece. It's got everything for me. Basically, the show is basically about this guy who wants to be the king of the pirates, and it's very, for me, what makes it number 1 of all time is the fact that it's so raw with emotion, so key, because the bottom line is, to me, the main focus of the show is about everyone's dreams. It's about trying your best and doing everything you can to, train, work hard, putting all the work in to actually get to that top level where you're trying to go to. And it's not actually, and to me, even though it's kind of a random gang, they all have their own dreams and their own dreams they want to achieve and trying to work hard towards. Number 2, what I'm gonna go with is this was not an anime per se, it's not a Japanese one, but it belongs in my number 2 because probably at some point in time we'll talk more about that. Why it's gonna be my number 2, but I'm gonna go with Spawn. Spawn's on number 2 because of the fact that it's very great character development, very great storyline, and for me it really pretty much inspired me as far as the kind of work that's been done in that show. The kind of character development you have, the kind of things that go on in that show, and it really inspired and changed me and even honestly changed my perspective on how I even write and do my own work. So that's why Spawn belongs to number 2 for me. Number 3. We're talking about it so many times before. Death Note.
The deathiest.
Yes. We have Death Note, which comes out of the scene, and really, honestly, the main character, who is usually the hero of the show, is the bad guy. And then, the main hero of the show, it's not really. And the main hero of the show is somebody else who's not necessarily the bad guy. He's just the main hero, and he's basically the challenger and the rival to the main character. And of course, you would think, okay, at some point, L's gonna outwit this guy. He's gonna outsmart him. He's gonna win. Spoiler alert: didn't happen.
Yeah, he died
Shamelessly, and it was.
He even got.
It was a great fight.
Yeah, he got cool with him too.
Yeah. Exactly, and it was, and that's the thing I liked about it so much is the fact that it was such a different take. And bottom line, it's already great the fact that it wasn't a, it wasn't a fist to fist cuffs. It wasn't a, I'm gonna be stronger. It was literally, I'm gonna outthink you. I'm gonna literally use people, and I'm gonna go ahead and game plan and actually plot and think about how you actually live your life and how you actually do things, actually manipulate it to make it look like I didn't even kill you when I did. So, to me, that's what made Death Note one of the greatest animes of all time for me. My number 4 is going to be Yu Hakusho.
Alright.
Yu Hakusho is my number 4 for one main reason: character development. Character development around Yusuke was totally great, in my opinion. You have this high school kid who's pretty much seen as a dropout, as a bum, as a gangster, as a thug, who basically has no future in sight, and everyone sees him as some some kind of wrong person. But behind the scenes, honestly, he's just a kid who's pretty much taking care of his mom, who's sick, who pretty much can't come back from alcoholism, I would assume. Doesn't have a father, who we never find out about. And then pretty much, is trying to deal with basically taking care of home and going to school at the same time. But he pretty much needs to work and stuff. So, but no one will hire him because he's seen as a thug and stuff. And then all of a sudden, he basically does this one good deed out of nowhere. And he honestly didn't have to do. He didn't even have to do it, but he sacrificed himself to save this kid. And because of the fact that no one saw it coming, 90 people in heaven, it was like, well, we didn't really think you would do that. So we'll tell you what, we'll send you back, but it's gonna take a while. And he comes back and he has this brand new power. It becomes basically the guardian between the spirit world and the human world, stuff like that. And the story progresses. But it was, to me, one of the greatest shows of all time. And I love how the ending actually coincided with how it started, and you actually got a full ending out of it. Right now, deciding at my number 5 and the last pick, and it's very hard for me. I keep going back and forth between one show that I really, really love, which is called Kiba. I don't really remember much about it because I haven't seen it in a while, but I've watched it like 4 times, and last time I watched it was like maybe a couple of years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Last time I watched it, but it's basically about this kid who doesn't really fit in this world that he's in, and he's kind of like a Yusuke. He doesn't really fit in this world. Everyone sees him as a bad guy, like they're in trouble. But basically, the main reason why he gets in trouble because people always harass him and stuff. And so he basically ends up, and so one day he ends up getting in trouble, and while he's running away from the cops, he ends up basically falling into this other world. And while he's falling into the other world, he sees his mom, who's known to be sick, like literally mentally sick, like in a mental house. All of a sudden, walking around, jumping around, fighting people and stuff, but using kind of weird orb magic. And he's like, "What in the world is mom doing?" And so he falls to the other dimension. He falls to the other world, and then where he falls at, all is basically like this world where magic and stuff is normal. Magic stuff is normal. People have use a little oil to cast spells and stuff like fire, wind, stuff like that. They also have guardians that they can summon, all this kind of stuff. So he's basically traveling this world, trying to figure out how he got there, how to get home. But at the same time, for some reason, he's learning that more and more deep into the story that actually his mom is a part of this world, and the world is actually a part of him. And so he's basically journeying to figure out really where he really fits and why he is who he is, and why everyone always seems to be important around him. That show's called Kiba. I love that show, and it's a toss between that show and I would say D.Gray-Man. D.Gray-Man, in my opinion, is a better version of, I would say it's kind of a better version of Bleach and something else. I don't really know what yet, but it's definitely part Bleach. Basically, you have this kid named Alan Walker, who is basically raised by this guy who dies, whatever, and he's basically this kind of like Reaper thing, whatever, like basically kind of like a Soul Reaper, where he's basically fighting monsters and stuff. And unlike the fact that how in Bleach, where you have basically the hollows and stuff are kind of free, all the monsters in this show are pretty much controlled by this one guy. And I can't remember his name, but they're all controlled by this one guy. And basically what he does is he basically walks in on people, like let's say you die. And then all of a sudden, Nessa's mourning, like, oh my god, I can't believe you died, no. And then he's like, so, I'm sorry for your loss. But I tell you what, if you want to see him again, I can bring him back. Do you want to do that? And I bring him back, but he comes back as a monster. There's your catch. And usually when they come back, they end up killing the person that asked for it. So then he ends up getting basically 2 monsters for the price of 1, for 1 death. And it's like, and this guy does this like all the time. And so basically the whole focus of the show is because like the main character basically becomes a mortal enemy of this guy. And what's trippy about it though is when his mentor died, he actually did the same thing. his mentor, he actually asked the clock maker to bring his master back, and when the master came back, I forgot how, in some way, it kind of got twisted, and he ended up becoming part monster, but still remain human. And so, because he was part monster, he was able to actually become a lot stronger than most of the people that actually fought the guys around him. And he ended up joining this guild where he actually learns how to become stronger and stuff. So he's basically, so for him, it's kind of a vendetta. But with the other groups, it's also real personal as well because some other people have come across him and all that stuff. So those are my top 5, top 6. Swing it over to the panel over here. What you got, Justin? What you got?
I ain't got paper, so I flick it like it's paper, you know? Okay, cool.
Super fun.
Number 1.
It's gonna simulate us all.
One day. Just joking. What? Shut up. Number 1. Kicking it off. I like it. Period. The regular one, the manga, and the other one. You know what I'm talking about when I say it. Full Metal Alchemist. It's so emotional. It's just a lot of love in there, you know. 2 brothers, they're alive. They got a dad. He's not there anymore, you know. Mom, she's there. She's dying. She got like cancer, AIDS, tuberculosis. Yeah. What? It's horrible. It was horrible. It's horrible. She died. They tried to bring her back to life, but they made a monster. And one of the brothers lost his whole body. The other brother lost his leg. He was like, you know what? I'm getting my brother back. Sacrificed his arm. My brother's kinda back. Number 2. I'm rolling with Gurren Lagann because I love it.
Doesn't that sound like a beer, guys?
It does. Makes me want to go to...
Next, another good one. Great one. Trigun. 2 brothers. 2 planets. 1 planet that they're not supposed to be on. And mild genocide.
And donuts.
And donuts. Donuts and guns and still that mild genocide. You know what? I'm gonna flip those. I'm gonna save that one for last. Wakfu! I love it, man. It's a French anime about this little boy. He's not really this small. He's about like this small. He's about that big, right? And he's a dragon. He's a little dragon boy. But he doesn't look like a dragon, and it's cool. And he's like, he has these portals. You know, like the game Portal, you know? Where you pop one, you pop another, and you jump through it, and you end up in the other one. Yeah, he can do that all over the place. And he's like the second largest supply of energy on the entire planet. But he's a little boy. So they're trying to capture him and drain him completely lifeless of all of his energy. But he has this older dragon, Guardian, that can actually transform from dragon to kind of guy looking thing or whatever. He's a beast. He's a beast. He can blink time. Like if he blinks sideways, time does whatever he wants it to. He's pretty dope. There's a lot going on with that. You should check it out. But the 5th one that I'm going with, the Guyver. If you've never seen that, it is great. It's old, man. This guy, he was running through the woods. He was handling his business and stuff, but he's kind of clumsy and stuff. So he trips and he falls and he busts his forehead wide open on this alien tech, right? And then it completely goes over his body. And since he's never had it done before, he didn't know what was going on. It was horrible. Like it was horrible. Like it connects to your body completely. But it's not like, hey, guy, we're gonna attach to you completely. We're gonna grab all of your nerves and you're gonna feel every little bit of this. No, it doesn't tell you that. It's like, wow. There's a lot of bad stuff going on there. But it's great stuff because it's really, really, really dope. Because right after he got it done, he got his arm chopped off, and then he died, kinda, sorta, in one of the versions. But his arm regrew him. You become like a super Wolverine with this. Like your healing is amazing.
All you need is like a cell, right?
That's the status.
Yeah. And then like his ultimate super move outside all the crazy stuff he has, like he makes blades pop out his elbows and stuff like that. Like he grabs his chest and he opens it up, and it's like the Japanese version of the Unibeam.
Wow.
But it's the Japanese version. So it's a lot.
Unibeam.
It's a lot.
Unibeam.
Yeah. And that's 5 for me. Woo!
This is my first one. You know, took lots and lots and lots of notes, which I probably won't end up using anyway. I don't like ranking my favorites because I have lots of favorites of everything. So basically, I just picked them based off of rewatchability. So these aren't in any particular order. First one is Witchblade.
Yo, she had the black girl ass.
Basically, when I first saw or heard of Witchblade, okay, mind you, I'm a fan of the comic. I love Sarah Bazzini and all that good stuff. I was like, why would they make freaking anime based off Witchblade? Then when I seen what she looked like, it totally turned me off because it looked oversexed and crazy and perverted and all that crap. And I was like, this is just gonna be hentai all over the place. Just stupid. So it actually took Wilt to talk to me and tell me, like, you know, how decent it was and all that good stuff. So, I'm browsing on Netflix one day, I see it, and I'm like, hey, let me give it a shot. It had, like 26 episodes?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so I was like, let me just watch it. And when I tell you, I watched it, and all of a sudden, I'm like, Witchblade marathon the next day. I finished it like 11 o'clock that night. Like, I just kept watching. I liked it. And pretty much, you know, it's about this, you know, single mom. What's her name? Mnemosyne?
I forget.
Yeah, Mnemosyne, and she ends up, like, losing her child, like, child welfare services or whatever. And she's chosen by the Witchblade, and then, like, she gets approached and, like, you know, get your child back, just gotta do what we want you to do. So, of course, you know, she's desperate, she's gonna do what she can to get her child back. But then, on the other hand, there are these, you know, clone Witchblades that are made, and these women are volunteering to wear them and become, you know, these, like, soldiers or whatever also. And they are constantly, like, challenging Mnemosyne throughout the whole thing. And I like it because the storyline was, like, really good. It had proper action. I love proper action. Like, had a good amount. And it was just exciting from, like, beginning to the end. Secondly, let's see. This is basically one of my favorites ever. Cowboy Bebop. I've loved Cowboy Bebop since I was in, like middle school, high school. I've been watching it for years, and it's one of those anime that, like, I could catch any episode and just never be lost, because it's, like, not in any type of sequence. The only ones that kind of, like, I guess could go in sequence are the ones that have background stories, like little, you know, like stories pertaining to a particular character, like Ed's story, or like Faye's story about her past, or Jet's story about, like, his partner, or the episode about him and his ex-girlfriend, and Spike, and his overall story, because his story is the biggest. But, like, I like how random the episodes are, and I am, like, pretty much, I'm more of a movie person, so I could never really follow series. So this was one series that I could just catch anything, and I'd be fine with just watching it. Even if I seen the episode over, I could just watch it again and again and be cool with that. Number 3, Michiko to Hatchin. Michiko to Hatchin is pretty much like an anime based out of Brazil. It was the first anime that I've seen that had nothing but people of color in the cast, and they didn't look like jigaboos or sambos, you know, like
Mr. Popo.
Everybody looked normal. They look like me and you and Hispanic folks and South Americans and all of that. Like, they had a whole rainbow of people in it, and they pretty much mixed Japanese and Portuguese words in the actual scripting, and that's what I loved about it. And then it had, like, pretty much scenes in, like, the beach areas. They had scenes in the favelas, the hood, for people who don't know, the favelas. And because Michiko pretty much grew up in the favela, so it's like she is she's the main character. She breaks out of prison, and her main goal is to find her boyfriend's daughter so that she could reunite her with him, and so that she could reunite with her boyfriend herself. And the daughter is Hannah, and Hatchin comes from her, like, nicknaming Hannah because she didn't want to call her Hannah. She just started calling her Hatchin. Hannah's like, shh, don't call me that. And she's like, Hatchin, come here. And she's like, don't call me that. Like, they would just argue all the time. But Hatchin pretty much, because her father, like, her mother was never in the picture and her father was gone, she basically grew up in an abusive, like, foster house or whatever. And Michiko, basically, this is how they introduce themselves. Like, she's just having dinner with her mean family. And, you know, her stepsister's like throwing biscuits at her head and crap. You know, I hate you and all that crap. And then next thing you know, a motorcycle flies in through the dining room window and she lands on the table. And she's like, are you Hannah? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, you coming with me? We're going to go find your dad. And it was just crazy. And pretty much, like, when I read a review, the best one that described it was like a mashup between Thelma and Louise and City of God. Like, it was just one of those crazy type animes. It's lots of comedy, lots of action. I love the fighting scenes. I love how everything looks. I love the music. That's the best thing I love about it, the score. And nothing but, like, Brazilian music. It was so awesome. Number 4 is Ren, Daughters of Mnemosyne. And Ren is basically about this detective who happens to be immortal. And she does all of these, she takes on all these random cases, like small cases, like missing dogs and, you know, somebody got something stolen and they'll send her after to, you know, find who did it and all that. But every once in a while she'll come across these like crazy, really terrible cases, like women showing, like basically coming up missing and like getting killed and tortured and all that stuff. And basically the person that was behind this is somebody that's actually obsessed with Ren himself because of the fact that he knows that she's immortal. And he does these crimes to lure her in so that he can basically take her and sacrifice her to the Tree of Life, and it's to gain some type of power or whatever. And it's 6 episodes and each episode is an hour long, and that's like the main reason why I like this one too, because of the format. And lastly, this one is a brand new one, and I put it as a favorite mainly because of the fact that it's just addictive. I can't stop watching it. And it's Toriko. And I love Toriko mainly because of the fact that I'm a foodie. I love food. And every episode makes me hungry. I feel like a fat girl. The fat girl in me gets super happy every time I watch Toriko. Like, I get every time.
I get happy at seeing jewel meat.
Yo,
And butter mosquitoes.
No, like seriously, every time I see the beginning, I think of how many of these could I actually incorporate into an actual recipe.
Right.
And I've actually found at least 6 things that I want to recreate and make it to recipes. And I might be doing that soon. But it just makes me so happy every time I watch it. I love the action in it. I love the comedy in it. The storyline gets better and better. And like, even though some episodes have like cliffhangers, they're not like major cliffhangers. Like, let's see, I'm on like episode 31 where they're, you know, looking for the century suit. There's like, what is it, 3...
Say spoiler alert. Say spoiler alert.
There's no spoiler alert. Like, I'm not telling the story. Like, pretty much there's like 3 fights going on at one point. And like, they show one fight and then it's like halfway done and it's like, okay, next episode. And I'm like, okay, I want to see the next episode because I want to see how that fight ends. But I want to see how everybody else is fighting too. But they don't even focus on those. They just show you, oh yeah, Toriko's fighting over here. You know, this guy's fighting over here. This guy's fighting over here. Then they go to the next episode and it continues from the one fight you was watching. But you're not even worried about Toriko because it's just like, I'm watching this fight right now. And then as soon as that one's done, they switch to the next one. And then it's like, next episode. And I'm like, I'm not even mad. You know, most people, what? Come on. I'm like, nah, next. I'm ready to watch it. You know, like, it's one of those anime, it really don't, even if I'm left on the edge, I'm not even pissed off. I'm just ready for the next one. So, that is mainly why Toriko made my top 5 list. It's just thoroughly enjoyable, and I love food, and I love the fact that Toriko loves food. I feel like I'm one with Toriko. You know? I feel like I myself could be like a queen of gluttony. You know what I'm saying?
Anime love.
Gourmet queen. I want to be a gourmet queen. Anime love. Yeah, and Toriko's hot, yo. Who got all the muscles and blue hair? Boy.
Yeah, I need to get some blue hair.
As far, well, I guess I'll start at the bottom. Number 5, that was kind of a tie myself because I liked, I guess it's like childhood. So I chose Dragonball / Shin Chan. Now, the reason I kind of threw in Shin Chan is because I think that's how that's how I wanted to be as a kid. Because, you know, he lived with his parents and he had a baby sister and they just had all these crazy antics. And who's ever been to my house, it's retarded. So I can really relate. But it's a really good show. Dragon Ball, I like Dragon Ball better than Dragon Ball Z because I guess it's more so a little bit believable just because as far as the fighting. Because it's not like, oh, I'm gonna fly over here and I'm gonna fly over here. No, it's just hand to hand, stand here, I'm gonna fight. And I just like how Goku was, you know, just started because like he didn't know a lot. Well, he still doesn't know a lot. But, you know, just like he's in a whole new world, but he wants to get better. So that's just kind of my thing anyway, so I can just apply that to my life. Hajime no Ippo, that's always a good anime because, you know, pretty much, you know, this kid wants to become a boxer and does it. You know, just I can go, you know, I'm getting beat up and then I get taught by this great boxer and I want to be like him. So yeah, just heavy hitting, lots of comedy, you know, a lot of hard work because he gets put through some crap. Just cause like when he first started out, you know, when he hit that bag, I was just like, how the hell did he move that big ass bag? And he hasn't even started training yet. So it's just like, all right, I gotta watch to see how this right hand gets better, and that right hand gets him a title. So I like that show. Now number 3, it's not really long, but everybody dies. So I like Basilisk. So, you know, these two ninja clans, they don't like each other, but
It's a rated R Naruto.
thank you. Because I was gonna put Naruto in my 5, but
I was too, but I couldn't do it.
no, I gotta talk to you. Hey, you took out Rock Lee, you lost my support, and then you gave the chibi crap, whatever. Yeah, I'm rocking. No, I don't want that.
Yeah,
So that's what took your spot.
That was pretty weak. It was pretty weak.
But, you know, as far as the twists and the turns in the show, you know, because, you know, there's a lot of deception. Things needed to be where they were, but it's ninja. So, you know, everything is not where it seems when it comes to ninja. So, that show was really good. I suggest you watch it. I believe it should be on Netflix, but, you know, you can go to your site and just find that out. Number 2, Yu Hakusho. It was number 1 for a while. Only reason, like, it kind of dropped because, you know, I got something else. But I like that show because, you know, I was able to relate to the main character a lot, and I still do. Because, you know, alright, he's looked at as this one thing, but he's really, you know, something else. And then, you know, with his friends and the people that he meets, you know, I can, you know, relate that to me because, you know, I know a lot of quirky people, but we all want to get the same thing done. So it's like nice development. You know, you see, like, every battle that he was in, it looked really bad. And then he would tell us, like, I'm getting my ass kicked right now. But my number 1, which was a tie, One Piece and Toriko. Those 2 shows are just, and they even have the crossover. Like, you had a crossover. Like, hey, I'm Toriko. Hey, I'm Luffy.
Oh, y'all did a move together. Shit spray.
You know, those are just, you know, a handful of some of the stuff I like, you know, as far as, you know, top or whatever. But I just like anime, period. That's why I'm here.
And close it out real quick. For my brother who's not here, Folkster, he told me. I told him he said that.
He's on camera.
Exactly. You're on camera. So anyway, folks, top 5. Number 5, he actually put Maji. He said Maji's gonna be the makings of awesomeness. His number 4 is gonna be Berserk. It's just got everything. Number 3, Shadow Skill. It's got boos, kicks, punches, and magic.
I like those.
Yeah. And let's see. Number 2, Baki the Grappler. Enough said.
Wow.
And number 1, Outlaw Star, aka or Fist of the North Star.
Ooh.
And that was his top 5. He said those 2 speak foundation for anime into reality from the imagination of the gods.
Yeah. Foggy with your old ass, some good ass picks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slap you later.
Good job, sir. Well done.
Good job,
Well
sir.
done.
We congratulate you on your picks.
Alright guys, since everybody else did their top 5, guess I'll do mine. I'm gonna start at the top because I technically have 6. Number 1, everybody knows, Rurouni Kenshin. Number 1, favorite anime ever, will always be there. Rurouni Kenshin used to be the bad Tosai, you know what I'm saying? But now he's trying to, as Kenshin Himura, the peace going man, who's just trying to use his sword to defend against evil instead of, trying to kill other people, because he's trying to deal with his past and the revolution, so he's trying to become a new person. But he's also one of my favorite characters because I like characters that have that, I'm nice, but if you push me, I can go to a dark place. Number 2 came out of nowhere when I first watched it. Toriko, of course. Toriko's awesome. I love the creativity in Toriko. Like every episode is something new. Gucci die. Yeah, so Toriko, creativity with the food and everything, so that's my 2. My 3, Fairy Tail. Magic, mages, epic storyline. I think it's gonna be epic, just like Toriko's gonna be epic and like One Piece already is. Number 4, Code Geass, Lelouch of the Rebellion. That I would have to say I feel is the best anime I've ever seen. Because the storyline, he basically has the eye that can give you a directive, and you have that directive, but he can only give you one. And that takes you to so many places in the storylines. Storyline's so complicated I can't put it into words. Number 5, Mobile Suit Gundam 00, epic mech on mech action. I love Wing, and 00 is basically like the updated version of that with new vibrant characters and storyline. Celestial Being, awesome show. Number 6, I'm gonna slide in there. Phi-Brain, Kame no Puzzle.
Hold on. You said 5, dude.
I make the show, so I can change the rules. Number 6 is Phi-Brain, Kame no Puzzle. Follows Diamond Kaito, a great solver of many puzzles, and they're trying to breed him to becoming the Phi-Brain.
Sneaky boss.
To try to breed him to become the Phi-Brain to solve the puzzle of God. And he has to deal with the possible ramifications of if he goes and solves this puzzle, what will the future be for the entire world? So, yeah, that's mine.
Alright. Close it out with Rob. This is AFROTAKU signing out, everybody.
Deuces.